Welcome to the Motley Mystic podcast. I'm Candace Shalhoub. I've named this podcast and Substack the Motley Mystic because I believe truth speaks with many, sometimes motley voices. Dogmas and doctrines have crept in to make religion into a rigid thing about belief. But as a Motley Mystic, I feel spirituality should be less about belief and more about that deep knowing that we are more than these bodies, more than these thoughts, and definitely far more than our beliefs or opinions. Indeed, we're all collections of motley beliefs and ideas, and if that resonates with you, then you could be a Motley Mystic too. Here's the latest Motley Mystic: 3 questions to save the world. Want to save the world? Go within and without. I woke up this morning full of grievances. My thoughts swirled around about who's to blame for the state of the world and what needs to change to make it better. I said to myself, if they hadn't pardoned Nixon back in the day and prosecuted him for his crimes instead, then we wouldn't have this would-be tin-pot dictator in the office right now. If that worthless attorney general had started his prosecution of Trump earlier, that man would be in jail instead of befouling the Oval Office and staging a silent coup on the government. Whew. On and on it went. If only this, if only that. The truth is, I wake up every morning like that, no matter who's running the government at any given time. And if you're a human being, you probably wake up the same way. Because we humans, we are grievance-making machines. Grievance, if we're honest, is our fuel most days. It's often the entire reason we get out of bed in the first place. Grievance gives us energy. It's the ego's Red Bull that fills it with the juice it needs to get out there and change the world. Here's the thing, though. The world outside, it isn't the problem. It isn't the one that needs changing. The world outside persists in making us unhappy inside because we have misunderstood this very fundamental idea. According to Lesson 71 in A Course in Miracles, this misunderstanding persists because we're following the wrong plan for salvation. We are following the ego's plan, which, A Course says, centers on grievance. Our ego, according to A Course, tells us, quote, that if someone else spoke or acted differently, if some external circumstance or event were changed, you would be saved. Thus, the source of salvation is constantly perceived as outside yourself. Each grievance you hold is a declaration and an assertion in which you believe that says, if this were different, I would be saved. The change of mind which is necessary for salvation is thus demanded of everyone and everything except yourself. Unquote. And this is the crux of it all. We insist on everything in the world changing except us. Our ego convinces us that changing the world outside of ourselves is easy. It's so easy that it has a million ideas about how to go about doing it. The catch, as A Course tells us, is this, quote, any perceived plan of salvation is acceptable to the ego, provided that it will not work, unquote. The ego wants us to keep going round and round, blaming everything and everyone except ourselves for how the world is screwed up. The ego convinces us that next time will be different if we manipulate the world around us, vote for somebody else, protest the current regime, work for change. While all of these things are good to do, we must remember that the ego's motto, according to A Course, is seek but do not find. That means nothing the ego suggests we do or think will ultimately bring us peace or happiness. Finding eternal peace and happiness, that is always an inside job. But we resist with all of our might the call to go within. We think it's some form of resignation or spiritual bypass. The truth of the matter is that we resist going within because we see changing the inner world as terribly difficult. It seems easier to overthrow a despot out here than it is to dethrone the dictatorial ego within. However, that dictator outside is merely a projection of the one you already have within you. If you lead an insurrection on your inner dictator, the one outside will fall all on his own. This is what A Course says is God's plan for salvation, and it's the only plan that is guaranteed to work. Now, when we think about doing our inner work, we often picture ourselves spending hours in meditation, studying the spiritual masters, chanting, praying, or, doing a lot of yoga. All those things are helpful, but A Course tells us that the best spiritual practice to do for your inner healing and growth is to focus on the world outside of yourself, but not to manipulate the circumstances to benefit you or to make you happier in the short term. That is the ego's plan for salvation. No, this is a call to live into a spiritual function in this world, our only spiritual function in this world, according to A Course, and that is to become wholly helpful. The truth is, none of us achieves enlightenment or salvation on our own. There's only one of us here, that's true. But until we can recognize ourselves in others and recognize the holiness we all share, we cannot achieve our own salvation. We either go together or none of us goes at all. This is why our inner spiritual growth depends on, as A Course teacher Sean Reagan says, quote, giving attention to the other, to recognize them and respond to them as kindly as possible. Doing so makes us happy. And in our happiness, Sean says, we realize that we've been wrong about suffering. We thought separation was the way, but it wasn't. Unity is the way. Showing up for relationship is the way, unquote. So how is this possible? Well, Lesson 71 offers us the tools in the form of 3 questions that we are instructed to ask the universe every morning. What would you have me do? Where would you have me go? What would you have me say? And to whom? And this is our plea to the universe to use us, to make us wholly helpful. It's something our ego resists because it knows that if we ask these 3 questions with an open heart, we are going to find ourselves in some challenging situations. We're going to find ourselves talking with people with whom we already may have a grievance. We may find ourselves in uncomfortable conversations where we want to argue or close our hearts to someone. The key to being wholly helpful, the Course says, is to realize that if we stay open, no matter how difficult the situation, we are invulnerable at this point because we are no longer protecting our egos. Whenever we get upset or close our hearts to someone else, that's when we know we're in the ego, because it can be hurt. But in reality, nothing can hurt us. Nothing can damage the eternal love, peace, and joy that we are. We cannot be offended. We cannot get angry. We cannot form or hold a grievance when we are determined to be wholly helpful. This, then, is the key to happiness: to remain open-hearted at all times. Right? How many of us can do that? These questions, though, can help us because it makes us willing to stay open, no matter where we go, no matter what we do, no matter what we say, and to whom. What we're doing is our actual function in the world. Now, we all have vocations, we all have jobs that we do out in the world, but keeping our heart open, that's our actual function. It's what we're here to learn. As A Course says in chapter 16, quote, your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it, unquote. Grievances, whether they feel small or enormous, are the barriers to love. When we remove our grievances, when we keep our hearts open no matter what, we welcome more love into our hearts. And once we have more love in our hearts, then all we project into the world is more love. And this is how dictators outside of us fall down all on their own. The most revolutionary act you can do in a time of fear and loathing and dictatorship is to remove all of your barriers to love so that you can realize that you already have love within you, because since you were created by love, you are love. The ego is the source of all of our anger, all of our greed and outrage and selfishness and fear, and we overthrow its reign of inner terror by remembering who we are. We are love walking around in this body. We also must remember that if we are love in the flesh, then so is everyone else, maybe especially those we think are responsible for ruining the world. This is why these 3 questions send us out into the world as a way to do our inner work. We use our interactions with the world around us to remind ourselves that there is no separation between us. We are all one. We are all love, walking around in flesh suits. We've just forgotten who we are and why we're here. Several lessons after this one, we come upon what I think is the hardest one for us to learn. Everyone is our Savior. Maybe especially the ones you hate and blame the most for the state of the world. Lesson 78 asks us to think about these people, and it asks us to actually review our grievances against them. Think about them. Think about their faults. Think about the difficulties they've caused, the neglect they've expressed, and the small and large harm we perceive that they have inflicted upon us or the world. And then, of course, says, ask the universe to show you the truth about this person, that they too are a child of God, that they, just like us, are love incarnate, even if their unconscious actions are doing great evil or causing harm and suffering. We are specifically asked to see this person as our Savior. And if you're like me, you rolled your eyes and you laughed out loud at that idea. How can that person, who I see as causing great evil and harm in the world, be my Savior? Well, this is why. If you can remain open-hearted, even as you think about this person your ego hates with a white-hot passion, then you will know lasting joy, peace, and happiness. And it doesn't mean you don't work to mitigate the suffering caused by their unconscious actions. It doesn't mean you turn a blind eye to the damage they really do in the world. It means that you understand that they have forgotten who they are, and they are your Savior by helping you to remember who you are. It means that you give up your grievances against them because you don't want the hatred you see in them to be in your heart toward them. Your hatred for them is the only barrier stopping you from loving them. A Course says, you can have a grievance or you can have a miracle, but you can't have both. Now, if you can stay open-hearted even to this hated person, you will see a miracle. You will feel love come rushing into your heart for this person. You will experience a sense of joy and a feeling of happiness that never ends. And I know you can't imagine that, because the grievance of hatred feels so good. It feels right and righteous. Of course, we're supposed to hate people who bring hatred and fear into the world, right? But reacting to that person in our own hatred and fear, well, it just creates more hatred and fear in the world. If we remove that barrier, if we give up our grievances, we will grow spiritually, which means that we will be putting more love into the world. This hated person becomes our Savior when we look at them and we feel nothing but love for them. We may feel sorrow for their behavior, but if we react to them from a place of love, then we get to see miracles take place. Whatever we do, whatever we say, will be guided by love, and we will be more effective in mitigating the fear caused by their actions. We don't need more angry, greedy, outraged, selfish, or fearful people in the world. We need more people who are dedicated to the work of removing those barriers to love that our dictatorial ego says keeps us safe. This dictator isn't keeping us safe. It keeps us imprisoned in our grievances. We must let miracles replace all grievances. And we do that by remaining open and never closing our hearts to anyone. We do that by remembering that we belong to one another. We do that by remembering that we are all in this together, whether you like it or not. Our function to remain open no matter what is what the Buddhists call bodhicitta. As Buddhist author Pema Chodron writes, quote, "Citta means mind and also heart or attitude. Bodhi means awake, enlightened, or completely open. Sometimes the completely open heart and mind of bodhicitta is called the soft spot, a place as vulnerable and tender as an open wound. It is equated in part with our ability to love. Even the cruelest people have this soft spot. Even the most vicious animals love their offspring. As Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche said, Everybody loves something, even if it's only tortillas, unquote. This is how those we other or hate can become our savior. When we remember they all love something, even if it's just tortillas. That soft spot, though. That's where we find the opening to let go of our grievances, to remove that barrier to love and awaken our bodhicitta. Chodron agrees with the Course when she writes, "The openness and warmth of bodhicitta is in fact our true nature and condition." Our true nature has no grievances. Our true nature has no ego ruling over it. Our true nature is love and peace, joy, compassion, and openness. This is anathema to the ego, which is a grievance factory. The choice is ours then. Do we want to keep drowning in a world of grievance, or do we want to do the hard work of walking through the world with an open heart to anyone the universe puts in our path? The central question, Chodron says, is, quote, not how we avoid uncertainty and fear, but how we relate to discomfort. And she adds, we can ask ourselves this question: do I prefer to grow up and relate to life differently, or do I choose to live and die in fear? Unquote. I guarantee that if you ask yourself these three questions, where would you have me go? What would you have me do? What would you have me say and to whom? You will experience discomfort that you will have to learn how to relate to as a spiritually mature human being. When an uncomfortable feeling arises, practice staying open, practice staying curious, practice seeing the person making you uncomfortable as your savior. They are showing you the parts of yourself that are not at peace. They are showing you the work you need to do to create peace, joy, and love within yourself. They are showing you how to save the world. Thanks for listening to the Motley Mystic Podcast. I invite you to click on the link in the show notes, leave a comment on this article. If you enjoy this podcast and the Motley Mystic Substack, please share it with your friends so they can subscribe too. The Substack is always free, and if you want to know more about me, go to CandaceShalou.com. That's Candace, Candace, and Shalou.com, Chellew. There you'll find a link to my music and my book, Bulletproof Faith, A Spiritual Survival Guide for Gay and Lesbian Christians. Thanks again for listening. I'll leave you with these words from Laura Jean Truman, and this has become my prayer recently. Keep my anger from becoming meanness. Keep my sorrow from collapsing into self-pity. Keep my heart soft enough to keep breaking. Keep my anger turned toward justice, not cruelty. Remind me that all of this, every bit of it, is for love. Keep me fiercely kind. Oh yeah.